Hey, welcome back to For the Meeple, by the Meeple. I'm your host, Mike Carpenter, and today we are taking a look at a classic. Survive Escape from Atlantis was first published in 1982, making this game over 30 years old. And in today's market, that feels like an eternity. So the fact that you can still get a hold of this game is all the more impressive. But what keeps this game around? Let's check it out. Here we have a two-player game of Survive Escape from Atlantis. The goal in this game is for players to get their meeples off of the sinking island in the middle of the board and onto any of the surrounding islands that are safer. However, around each of these surrounding islands is a token. These tokens are sea serpent tokens, and their job is to cause as much destruction and eat as many meeples as possible. Working alongside the sea serpent are whales and sharks. The whales will be destroying ships, and the sharks will be trying to eat the meeples. The cool thing about Survive is that the three different types of tiles you see on the island are different thickness. The sand is very thin, the forest is a little bit thicker, and the mountainous tile is pretty thick. Now, the reason these tiles have different thickness is because they're going to be removed from the game at different times. So as the island's sinking, the first tiles that will be removed are the sand tiles. Then as everything has gotten lower into the water, the next tiles that will be removed are the forest, and then the very last tiles will be the mountainous tiles. On the flip side of the terrain tiles, you will find three different types of actions. The green tiles will be played immediately once revealed. The red tiles without an X through them will be taken into your hand and can only be played at the beginning of your turn. The red tiles with the X through them will also be taken into your hand, but you will only be able to play them in response to someone trying to do something harmful to any of your meeples. There are 5 types of green tiles. The top 3 will immediately place either a whale, a shark, or a boat in the space on the board that the tile was removed from. If there happens to be a meeple that has fallen into the water in that space, a shark will eat it, a whale will not affect it at all, and if it's a boat tile, the meeple will immediately be placed in the boat that is placed in that space. There are also 2 more destructive green tiles. The whirlpool tile will immediately destroy anything that is adjacent to the tile that was just drawn. And the volcano tile is always drawn in the last phase of the game when players are removing the mountainous tiles, and it will indicate the end of the game. The red action tiles without the X through them will allow players to move different parts of the board. So this tile will allow a player to move a shark to any empty space they would like. Same with the whale and the sea serpent. And then these 2 are going to allow players to move boats and their swimmers. The tiles with the X's through them are simply going to be used to stop a player from trying to either eat meeples with a shark or destroy boats with a whale. A turn in Survive follows 4 steps. The first step is the active player may play one of the red action tokens that they have collected from earlier in the game. The second step is the active player may move their explorers and or ship tokens up to 3 spaces. The third step is the player must remove one of the terrain tiles from the board according to which phase the game is in. If there are still sand tiles on the board, they must remove a sand tile. If all of those are gone and you're on the forest tiles, the players must remove a forest tile, and once those are gone, players will be removing the mountain tiles on their turn. The fourth step is to roll this die, which has sides for the sea serpent, the whale, and the shark. Whatever is rolled, that type of token must be moved. If none of that type of token is on the board, then the roll is useless and play moves to the player on the left. Now, each of these types of tokens can move different number of spaces. The sea serpent can move up to 1 space when rolled. A shark may move up to 2 spaces when rolled, and the whale may move up to 3 spaces when rolled. This information is listed on the side of the board to help players remember. Now we're going to take a closer look at how a turn would actually play. This is going to be the first turn of the game, and the blue player will be the active player. The first thing the blue player would do is look to see if they have any red action tiles available. However, this is the first round, and no player has been able to collect any tiles, so the blue player would skip to the second step, which is to move up to 3 spaces with his explorers and or ships. I can spread those 3 moves out amongst multiple explorers, or I can spend all 3 on 1 explorer or 1 ship. So what I'm going to do is move this explorer to the front of the ship. It only counts as 1 space, even though there are multiple spaces within the boat. Then I'm going to put my second explorer on this ship, and finally I'm going to move the ship. When moving ships, any player that has explorers on the ship may move the boat unless one player has more explorers than another. So in this case, if this was the arrangement on the boat, only the blue player could move this boat. Now, after the player has spent 3 moves, they will then remove one of the terrain tiles. In this case, since it's early in the game, I would still need to remove a sand tile. So I'm going to remove this one here. And it is a boat. So I would immediately put a boat in the space of the tile that I removed. Since the tile is green, I will remove it from the game and place it back in the box. The fourth step of the turn, is to roll the dice. I have rolled a shark. However, at the beginning of the game, there are no shark tokens on the board, so this roll is irrelevant to gameplay, and I would pass to the player on the left. Now, there are a couple other things in the game that you have to understand. Once a player has fallen into the water, so if next the red player were to remove a terrain tile and they decide to move this sand tile out from underneath me, it would drop my player into the water. The token is red, so the red player would keep that for later use. Now, once an explorer is in the water, they may not get back up onto land, but they are able to climb into a ship. Now, once an explorer has fallen into the water, the rules of movement are different for them. An explorer can only move up to 1 space in the water when swimming. However, that would keep an explorer from being able to swim into this space and climb into the boat on the same turn, because that would count as 2 moves, 1 for swimming and then 1 for climbing into the boat. However, if the ship were to move to the explorer could then climb in. You would still use 2 actions, but you would be more efficient in getting the explorer into the boat. As you get further into the game, there will be more types of creature tokens on the board. Each of these creature tokens interact with the ships and the explorers differently. A whale that can move up to 3 spaces when the die roll indicates a whale can 1, 2, 3 enter the same space as a boat and destroy the boat. All explorers on the boat will then be dropped into the water of that space. A shark can move up to 2 spaces when rolled, and when a shark enters the same space as explorers, the explorers are immediately eaten. The most destructive of all the creatures is the sea serpent. When the sea serpent enters the same space as an explorer or a ship, both the ship and the explorers are destroyed or killed. Once you get to the final phase of the game, and the island is all but sunk, there will only be 8 mountain tiles left. A majority of these mountain tiles are destructive, most of which are whirlpools. So on the red player's turn, he decides to remove one of the mountain tiles that has a blue explorer on it. This drops the blue player into the water, and once revealed, we see that it is a whirlpool. When a whirlpool is revealed, everything that is in one of the 6 adjacent spaces and the space where the tile was drawn is going to be removed, except for the tiles. So in that case, as you can see, the whirlpools are the most destructive tiles in the game. Once the volcano tile is drawn, the game ends and all explorers that are still not on safe islands will be killed. Once the game ends, players are going to look at all the explorers that they got to safe islands. On the bottom of these explorers are a number 1 through 6. Now, if this player had saved a tile, or had saved 3 explorers for a total of 14 points, and the red player had saved 4 meeples but had scored the less points based on the bottom of the explorer, the blue player would still win because the points determine the winner, not the number of explorers saved. And that is how you play Survive Escape from Atlantis. In my opinion, Survive has stuck around for so long because it has aged so well. And I think it has aged well because of the mechanics of the game. Take that games have been around for a long time, and they're going to be around for a long time. There's just something fun about trying to hurt your opponents while you try to get away unscathed. You take that and then you'd add on such a perfect theme for this kind of take that nature of a board game. It's everything in this game makes sense, right down to the thickness of the tiles representing the island sinking, to the fact that whales are going to knock the boats around and the sharks are going to eat the people, and then the sea serpent, there's 5 of these sea serpents floating around trying to destroy everything they can. And it just makes sense to people. Nobody looks at this game and gets confused by the meshing of the thematic, or the theme and the mechanics. It's intuitive. You get your people off the sinking island to the safe islands and avoid being eaten by these sea creatures. It's an easy game to play. It works perfect in 2 scenarios. 1, if you have a family with children that can handle the take that nature, perfect. 2, if you're looking to introduce new people to the hobby, this is the kind of game that I believe people that do not play games often think about when they think about board games. It's just a good step up from Monopoly, Life, those games that people are familiar with. This is right along the feeling of those games without getting too lackluster and kind of mass market like we think of when we think of Monopoly and some of those games. So this is definitely a very highly recommended game by me. I bring this out in a lot of scenarios, and I almost always have fun. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen this game fall flat with anyone. So if you're looking to add a gateway game to your collection, and you like hunting down what are kind of like evergreens, this is definitely the game for you. If you're looking for a heavy Euro game or a very, very deep strategic game, probably not the game for you. But definitely give this one a try if you're looking for this type of game. You will not be disappointed in this game. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below, and I'll see you next time.